Story 1. I wouldn't call it selfless just because it's for my own peace of mind. I would donate it to domestic abuse victims or victims of human trafficking. Story 2. I give around $5,000 per year to a university for a scholarship fund. My company matches $5,000 for educational donations, bringing the total to $10,000. The university also matches any donation of $10,000 from their endowment, resulting in a $20,000 scholarship that generates income and provides $2,000 to $3,000 per year for a student's tuition. We have been doing this for 5 years, so recipients of our scholarship receive between $10,000 and $12,000 per year in funding. Story 3. Homeless shelters are essential. Where I live, there is a significant portion of the year when sleeping outside can lead to freezing to death. No one deserves that. Story 4. You do not have to be wealthy to donate. My wife and I have a scholarship fund set up at our alma mater that gives out $5,000 a year to a child from a single-parent home. We were both raised by single mothers and understand the importance of giving back. Story 5. Big donations to my teacher friends so they do not have to use their salary for classroom supplies and to feed their low-income students. Additionally, a donation to local scout troops is beneficial for many kids, helping to get them off devices and into the real world. Story 6. Animal charities, local shelters, and larger conservation projects are helping endangered species. Water conservation is also important. While it benefits my own needs for survival and those of future generations, it also contributes to the well-being of others. Story 7. I donate to a variety of charities, including groceries for those who cannot afford them, hospitals and medical research, animal causes, and the arts. Story 8. I am not wealthy, so instead I donate my time. I volunteer at my local humane society, teach art classes at my city library for free, and occasionally volunteer with parks and recreation. If you would like to give a bit of your time, there are many opportunities available. Just check your city's website. Story 9. Go around taking people from the food bank to the grocery store to buy what they need. I would also build a pet shelter in every major city. Story 10. Animals help all sorts of animal charities. Yes, it's not about humans, just animals, although the humans doing the hard work to help animals deserve support. Story 11. I donate $10,000 a year to various parrot conservation, rehabilitation, and sanctuary efforts through company matching. I believe I should do more, and I have the means to do so. My plan is to establish a trust with my wealth to carry on my passion for parrots and wildlife after I'm gone, as I have no children or other family members to provide for. Story 12. St. Jude's. But I would also visit local schools in my area and pay off the cafeteria balances for students. Additionally, I would add extra money so they can continue to eat. That would be a start. Story 13. Ronald McDonald houses are places that provide accommodation for parents who have sick children and travel long distances from their homes. Most parents are unable to work because they do not want to leave their sick kids alone. The houses offer one nutritious meal a day and supply hygiene products. They also have pantries full of food and provide washers and dryers for everyone. Often, they bring in stylists to cut hair, so parents do not have to leave. It is an amazing place that alleviates small worries that mean so much to us parents. Story 14. Probably Doctors Without Borders. I already donate a percentage of my Amazon purchases to my local animal shelter. Story 15. End world hunger. I donate to 2 food banks and keep a supply of snacks in my office for others to enjoy, as they tend to prefer sugary items, which I avoid. Story 16. I am uncertain. After working for a couple of nonprofit organizations, I am hesitant to donate to any of them. Often, they are wasteful and inefficient. They underfund the programs throughout the year and then spend a significant amount of money at the end of the fiscal year on unnecessary items. It also felt as though these organizations were designed to indoctrinate employees with extreme leftist ideologies. I cannot believe I am saying this, but I might consider donating to a church. Story 17. I am older and have attracted many animal rescue farms on TikTok through the small contributions I have made. I would love to support these farms and causes generously. Story 18. I am passionate about hunting. I would love to buy a large lodge with plenty of land and offer hunts to hardworking individuals who cannot afford expensive places to hunt. I want to support plumbers, mechanics, and janitors who work hard to provide for their families. I want them to have a few days of enjoyment, good food, and access to great hunting spots, creating lasting memories. Story 19. Child developmental centers in Republican states are often facing increased funding cuts. The children do not deserve to suffer because their parents make poor voting decisions. Story 20. School lunch debt should not exist. I would also support animal rescues. In current America, I would contribute to organizations focused on reproductive health, cancer research, and vaccination clinics. Story 21. I would visit my local skate shop and buy decks, shirts, and beanies. I grew up making homemade ramps in my backyard and saving every penny I had for new birdhouse decks. Kept me out of trouble and in great shape. I miss it. Story 22. I would buy toys for both children and animals in need. When I was a child, I was in foster care. We had little money, and I received my toys from charity. I would love to get children some Lego and provide dogs with tennis balls and chew toys to play with. Story 23. Donate to food banks, homeless shelters, survivor housing, senior communities, animal shelters, and wildlife protection. Provide multiple full-ride scholarships, and support K-12 and preschool teachers, as well as small and rural libraries. Story 24. I would rescue every animal from kill shelters and bring them to a large ranch where they could live the rest of their lives in comfort. Story 25. Children's hospitals are crucial. As an adult with children who needed medical care, I have experienced a sense of helplessness and desperation that is difficult to describe. However, witnessing how thoughtfully the facilities and staff are organized to ensure the children are comfortable and happy is truly emotional. They are never funded as much as they deserve. Story 26. I would try to educate people. Ignorance is a sickness today. If allowed to persist, it will rot society. Story 27. I would not be alive today without the charity of others. I am not a wealthy man, but I still budget about $100 per month for charitable donations, usually to food banks, pet shelters, homeless youth charities, or similar organizations. I hope that if I were to wake up tomorrow with a significant amount of money, I would continue to give charitably in amounts far beyond what I can currently afford. Story 28. I would like to donate a good portion of money to 4 places. First, a local or national suicide prevention hotline or service. Second, to a women's organization and/or shelter, possibly both. Third, a local nonprofit in my area called the 9 Lives Foundation, which is a no-kill shelter. As much as I disliked the cat, she was grateful we didn't return her like her 3 previous owners did. And she was there for me when I needed someone. The 4th donation would go to a program like the Wounded Warrior Project, even though they are self-sufficient and don't accept donations from outside sources, such as Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. Story 29. Animal charities do not ask to be brought into this world, or to be abandoned when someone becomes bored or cannot afford to care for them anymore. Story 30. A regular monthly donation to our local school district supports programs in underfunded schools. Story 31. I have thought about this a lot. I would establish a fund at an emergency veterinary clinic near me to help pay for animals whose owners cannot afford treatment. Additionally, I would like to set up an education fund to provide guidance for underprivileged children. Story 32. Medical debt forgiveness and grants for patients. I work at a cancer center, and it breaks my heart to see people receiving news of their condition and worrying about financial burdens just moments later. Story 33. If I had money, I would create an animal sanctuary. Many animals are being sent to shelters, and without adoption, they face euthanasia. This is unfair, as many of them end up in shelters due to neglectful owners or abandonment. Story 34. I would donate to funds fighting climate change. I would also purchase land, place it in conservation trusts, and allow it to grow wild if permitted in the area. Story 35. I am a foster parent, and I know how severely underfunded and understaffed social services are. I understand that the government often allocates funds to areas other than those that truly need it. Therefore, I would find a way to help children who are wards of the state and in need of care. Story 36. Donate to mental health support programs and help clean up downtown from homelessness and substance abuse. Story 37. Every artist I appreciate and who has a Patreon, Ko-Fi, or Kickstarter, I am supporting because I genuinely want to help those who have inspired me through their art to continue living. You all represent the creativity in this world that motivates me to keep trying. Additionally, I want to support individuals who wish to transition and become the gender they identify with. If they have a crowdfunding platform or any means to assist with that, I want to contribute as well. These causes are among the most important to me at this moment. Story 38. I would do anything within my financial means to defund and abolish kill shelters, and to enrich and create more no-kill shelters. I would probably open my own dog sanctuary as well. Story 39. I would try to replicate the move from It's a Wonderful Life and purchase a bank, absorb the investment so the bank can be debt-free, then eliminate low-interest home loans that are feasible for individuals to begin with. It doesn't have to make a profit. It just needs to maintain stability to provide liquidity for people to buy houses. Story 40. Share with those in need, donate to conservation efforts, and purchase family property with homes on it so that none of us, or those who come after, are ever homeless again. Story 41. I work in a nonprofit, so I already donate submarket wages to my organization. I am a monthly donor to a dog breed rescue. I consistently purchase donations through Chewy for the local Meals on Wheels program that provides pet food. I have set up recurring gifts to our local land conservation organization where we hike, as well as to veteran causes, since my husband and I are veterans. Story 42. Pay for medical treatment for people with epilepsy. I have epilepsy and it can be challenging. I can't drive, drink alcohol, or use THC, which is the active component in cannabis. I'm just happy that I am not photosensitive. Story 43. If I had enough money to never work again, I would spend my time and resources freeing women and children from religious oppression. Story 44. Build or buy houses and apartments, then hold a free drawing every month where people can win them. The prizes may be divided into tiers, such as one-bedroom apartments for singles and couples, and multi-bedroom houses for families with children. Winners would be required to hold the properties for a specified number of years, likely 30, without the ability to rent or sell them. Story 45. Help people by setting up a non-profit homesteading organization. We provide assistance with everything from land acquisition and construction to sustainable practices, geothermal exchange greenhouses, house building, land preparation, animal selection, and plant choices for both perennials and annuals. We aim to help individuals achieve the sustainable lifestyle they desire, guiding them through the entire process and addressing legal and financial hurdles related to their homesteading transition. We can assist you in purchasing land or provide a turnkey solution where you simply bring your belongings and animals. Additionally, I would establish a company that offers low-interest loans for individuals seeking this lifestyle, with the stipulation that they cannot sell to corporations. Should they decide not to pursue homesteading long-term, we would attach a first right of refusal to the sale. Story 46. This sounds small, but it means a lot to me. Our small town way up in the north doesn't have a veterinarian. It's a 2.5-hour drive to the closest one. I would buy a big place, turn it into a veterinarian's office, and pay a veterinarian to operate it for 2 years. Hopefully, the veterinarian will stay. If not, I'll do it again. The second thing I'd like to do is help young people go to university. Third, I want to assist young people with down payments to own their homes. I would also establish a large food bank, but not here. Our town is, on average, well off. It would be set up somewhere where there is a new industry. Then, I'd buy a fully equipped van and hit the road. No one would know who did it. Story 47. Nothing. But to be fair, that is what most wealthy people do. Those who do give have crushed many hopes and dreams to attain the financial positions that enable them to do so. Is it ever worth it? Story 48. I would build shelters for families going through evictions. I aim to strengthen communities and research areas in need of medical assistance, so I can help provide them with health care. Story 49. I would donate to a charity that provides palliative care at home for children who are dying or will die. I had one charity lined up to care for my son. It is mainly funded by donations and costs the family nothing. My son died suddenly without warning, and that meant their help was not needed. However, I intend to leave a percentage of what I have left in my life to that charity, so that at least one family can experience the comfort of knowing that someone would help them. Story 50. I'm not rich, actually, quite the opposite. However, I donate what I can to charities I care about, such as organizations that advocate for criminal justice reform. Story 51. I want to help teenagers with food disorders so they don't have to ruin their lives like I did. Unfortunately, I am far from being wealthy. Hopefully, one day. Story 52. Mutual aid organizations excel at organizing efforts to assist individuals. I may not be the most organized person myself, but these groups effectively help people get their brake lights fixed, purchase groceries, and navigate state systems. Story 53. Fund research on various topics. Oxford is conducting research on photovoltaic technology. I would provide funding to see the outcomes. I believe there are efforts to advance the sciences that are worth the investment. That's where I would allocate my resources. Story 54. Honestly, I don't know. It's probably mostly in-person assistance, helping mothers who need diapers or formula, and assisting people in purchasing a week's worth of groceries. Anything like that. Story 55. Housing is alarming to me that billionaires do not invest in social or free housing with their wealth while people are suffering on the streets. If I had $1 billion, I would dedicate $900 million to building affordable housing, and that's only because I want to keep some for myself. The wealthy seem disconnected from reality. Story 56. I would combine my love of browsing the internet to unwind with philanthropy. Any friend's child raising funds for sports would receive anonymous donations. Crowdfunding platforms would be a daily opportunity to support individuals and communities that I choose. If significant funds were available, I would support my favorite changemakers, including nonprofit organizations. Additionally, I would purchase large tracts of land designated for development and donate them to nature conservancies. Story 57. How rich? I would start an insurance company that proudly states, "We protect more people than others." Story 58. I would donate to an organization that provides meals to children after school and during the summer months. I would like to fund a vehicle to meet the children where they live. Story 59. I would pay for hospital bills for people who need emergency surgeries and treatment but cannot. That is the top priority in my opinion. I understand how terrible it is to be in that situation, watching your loved ones suffer while feeling helpless. Story 60. I have a monthly donation set up for the food bank and a society that provides housing. I think it's about $60 a month in total. How rich do you think you need to be? I'm happy to be able to contribute, but I'm right in the middle of the middle class. Story 61. Part of a Unitarian Universalist congregation. All offerings go entirely to different causes. Migrants, climate change, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and fire relief in Los Angeles. I try to donate generously. Actual funding for the church and the minister is separate and provided through pledges by members. This system is effective and the groups are very appreciative. Story 62. I would donate money to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Imagine if all countries came together to explore space and advance science. Story 63. Something for children and something for the elderly. I believe children need a good start, and the elderly deserve peace, rest, and care. Story 64. Sure, if I had $1 trillion, I'd be happy to donate half of my fortune for selfless causes. I'd be content with just $500 billion. Story 65. Let's see how sustainable it is and how much of it would be wasted. Off the top of my head, it is either for children's education or for reforestation research. If I were to personally join a cause and contribute my time, I would probably make a periodic donation to open-source hobbyist hardware and software. Story 66. My dream is to go back to my country of origin and start a school for underprivileged children, whose parents cannot afford to send them to good private schools. I also want to create a park there to engage kids in sports. Story 67. Try to identify underprivileged children who excel in their classes at underperforming schools and provide funding for their education, including college counseling support to help them find the best fit. Charities that offer financial assistance without counseling support often see a high incidence of students not completing their education. Story 68. I'm assuming I am both loaded and have taken care of my friends and family. I would donate to mutual aid organizations and local food charities, my local food bank, and the Ronald McDonald House, which took such amazing care of us when my son was born 6 weeks early. I would also enthusiastically participate in Trans Santa every year. Story 69. Demoning operations in countries affected by war focus on the removal of unexploded ordnance in regions such as Europe and Vietnam. There are more victims of war than just combatants. It is painful to acknowledge the suffering of innocent people caused by individuals driven by ego, sending lives into conflict for the questionable notion of conquest. Story 70. Your question is not a good one. Almost every person in the world is wealthy enough to donate a portion of their money to charitable causes. In fact, I have found that those with the least tend to give and share more than those with significant wealth. Learn from them and do the same. Story 71. You don't have to be wealthy to be generous. Just $10 to a worthy cause from many people will add up to a lot. I tend to support groups that teach food gardening, education, and the local women's shelter, as I know a woman who has experienced abuse. Story 72. Ensure children can participate in school trips, receive nutritious lunches, and have new school uniforms. I was fortunate to attend a private primary school, for which I am grateful. However, it was when I went to high school that I truly realized how unfair the world can be for children who do not have a voice. Story 73. I would donate it to school lunch and breakfast programs to ensure that children are well fed, regardless of their income. Story 74. Start my own charity to avoid paying high overhead costs. Check the percentage of overhead to understand what I mean. Story 75. I donate to organizations like Habitat for Humanity and Rebuilding Together that help people obtain and maintain housing. Story 76. I am fortunate to be able to make monthly donations, which now go to the American Civil Liberties Union, LGBTQ+ outreach programs, and other groups that protect marginalized individuals in the United States. Story 77. Start a fund at local pharmacies to cover co-pays for emergency medications when people cannot afford them. Antibiotics after medical procedures, inhalers, and medications for children requiring prior authorizations should not take an additional 3 or more days to resolve. Supplies for parents should include formula, diapers, toothbrushes, and books. We need to help facilitate access to good hygiene and care habits to bridge the gap between covered dental work and unexpected emergencies. Taking care of teeth and gums can help prevent infections and extractions while positively impacting heart health. We also need to provide eye care treatment and donated glasses. Teachers should be supplied with pencils and other coloring supplies, along with donations toward printing budgets. School lunches for students should be provided, as lunch debt should not exist. Story 78. Fill up people's GoFundMe, tip generous amounts, and donate to reputable nonprofits that genuinely help people. I particularly love the idea of Heifer International, so I hope it is legitimate. Story 79. Donate to cancer patients. Cancer is my biggest fear. If I were rich, I would definitely donate to those in need, including children with cancer. Story 80. Figure out how to create 3D printed organs using a person's DNA so they wouldn't need immunosuppressant drugs. This would solve many issues, as some individuals who exhibit anger and malice often have small genitalia, like Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Story 81. I would renovate an empty mall into rooms and efficiency suites, providing a variety of on-site services for individuals who find themselves homeless and need support. Story 82. Build large homeless shelters with private security, social services, healthcare, rehabilitation, and other resources. Fund underprivileged schools, ensuring that the money is specifically allocated to books, supplies, equipment, and programs rather than administrative costs. Start a program where homeowners can receive free solar panels with storage, eliminating third-party leasing arrangements. Story 83. Every year, our community holds an event where people can donate to local charities, and some of the wealthy individuals in town match the donations. Although I am not wealthy, I contribute to the rescue shelter that cared for my cat before I adopted her. I also donate to the Rescue and Rehabilitation Fund at the Texas State Aquarium and other institutions that rehabilitate marine life. Story 84. Before my money stopped going as far, I would donate to a cancer charity and buy tickets to the local children's hospital raffle. I think the biggest thing I ever won was a portable DVD player, but that wasn't the point. Story 85. Healthcare in low-income countries faces challenges that are unimaginable in developed nations. Many individuals live on just a few cents a day and lack access to even the most basic medications. Story 86. Food pantries. Places that treat and adopt animals. Battered women's shelters. Programs involving the arts or sports in at-risk areas. Assisting with utility bills for the elderly in low-income areas. Car mechanics and sales in low-income areas. Tutoring in low-income and at-risk areas. Don't just throw money at the problem. Address the problem. I would establish a few of my own causes, but that is a topic for another time. Story 87. I often daydream of having so much money that I could buy several houses in my neighborhood and rent them out at a loss, offering super low rent. I could do rent-to-own arrangements or fix them up and sell them affordably to people of my choosing, especially those starting out, single parents, and others my age who never had the opportunity to buy. In theory, this approach could drive down the rent prices surrounding my properties, doing the opposite of what corporations typically do. Story 88. I would pay college for high school students who attended honors programs and take into account their weighted GPAs for those who did not receive a high scholarship due to their unweighted GPAs. Story 89. I have always wanted to start a safe house for mothers with children who need to leave an abusive relationship as soon as possible. Story 90. I would invest in small, local charities that work closely with children in difficult circumstances. After watching The Wire Season 4, I was profoundly affected and began researching the best organizations to donate to that support inner-city Baltimore children. It is the smaller local groups which have limited resources for advertising that utilize donations most effectively. They are embedded in the community and understand the needs, but they never receive enough support to help as many children as they would like. Story 91. A mental health and wellness nonprofit that combines traditional and holistic medicine, emphasizing compassion and empathy at every step. The facility aims not only to treat mental illness but also to achieve breakthroughs with patients. Everyone, from doctors to nurses, will be dedicated to providing care that is accessible to those who desperately need treatment but cannot afford it, especially those who have experienced struggles firsthand. Story 92. I have money allocated in my will to support a few different animal rescues, with provisions in place should they no longer be active at that time. I have a significant amount of money, but it's not accessible to me. In the meantime, I donate my time, which includes making meals for our homeless population with a local nonprofit, among other activities. I would not call it completely selfless, as I likely gain more from it than they do, though I do not wish to diminish the benefit of a hot meal, no strings attached. Story 93. I was thinking about this to distract me from my current situation. I would create an offer for billboards and social media targeting homeless individuals to relocate to a sparsely populated rural area to work for construction companies at a lower wage. I would provide shelter in a hostel-style environment, food, and small dosages of legal substances such as marijuana and alcohol. I would arrange for a nurse and a therapist to be present on weekends. Maybe I'm delusional, but I cannot see how this could be a bad idea. Some individuals dealing with severe addictions or serious mental health issues might struggle to hold a job. However, the majority I regularly see in my neighborhood probably spend more energy asking for change for 10 hours a day rather than working through a job. Story 94. I would call around to schools and pay off school lunch debts or set up a spa for teens who are homeless to teach them hygiene skills and provide skincare and hygiene products, including treatments for LGBTQ teens. Story 95. Buy a piece of land within an hour's drive from an airport, perhaps in a town with infrastructure but a declining population. Build a community where people at the end of their rope, those who are suicidal, and individuals who have never found their place can come to see if completely changing their lives and community might work better than choosing to end it all. I have thought a lot about this and have pages of rough plans for the various institutions that will be required, as well as strategies to prevent it from devolving into a cult. A less ethical and more villainous project would be a dog breeding program focused on selecting for intelligence. We have changed dogs so much already to help them understand humans and the human world that I often wonder about the limits of their intelligence. Some dogs are remarkably intelligent, capable of making inferences that even a human 6-year-old and other primates cannot. With enough funding, you could even combine the projects. Hopefully, we won't end up teaching dogs to adopt suicidal tendencies. As many others have said, you don't have to be wealthy to contribute. If you have serious debts to pay off and are not saving for retirement, you can still donate your time and do a lot of good. Story 96. Pay off the school meal debt at your local public school. Some states continue to charge a fee for reduced school lunch, and if families cannot pay, it becomes another financial burden. Story 97. Every beagle that was ever used for experimentation would go to a rescue I set up to ensure these dogs knew love and had a family. I would also donate to ending research on animals, starting with dogs. Support Be Freegal if you want to help. Story 98. I have a complete plan for when I become a millionaire, budgeted and everything. I would use it for homelessness support and medication coverage. Story 99. Build affordable housing. I would go to areas that lack affordable housing and construct deed-restricted housing or develop affordable units while advocating against deed restrictions that hinder the construction of affordable housing. Story 100. Donate to local animal shelters that depend on donations to continue their vital work of saving animals from abusive and neglectful homes. Story 101. I wouldn't consider ourselves rich, but we donate a considerable amount of money and goods to a wide variety of causes, including our church, Girl Scouts, veteran groups, local sports teams, the local food pantry, Goodwill, and a local family in need. Story 102. I'm not rich enough by any means, but I donate to children's cancer initiatives, usually to the Ronald McDonald House and to all animal shelters I can. I give toys, blankets, and food whenever I am able. If I were rich enough to donate more funds, I would open a no-kill shelter. I would love to save more animal lives and fund free spay and neuter services. Story 103. I would donate to the Trevor Project and autism research first. Then, I would build housing for homeless veterans in my state. Story 104. I would fund an organization dedicated to caring for dependent individuals with disabilities after their families pass away. Both my brothers are autistic and cannot take care of themselves. I do not plan on having children, and I often wonder what will happen 50 years from now if I pass away before them. Story 105. I already support a local veterinary shelter, and I would love to do more so they could offer affordable or even free care for minor issues. They have their annual walk fundraiser next week, which I always volunteer for. I'm very excited. Story 106. My funds would be allocated to recovery centers that assist individuals facing addiction and mental health crises. Story 107. Donations to individuals and families with disabilities. Need a wheelchair-accessible vehicle? Done. Need a year's salary to take time off with your terminally ill child? Done. Need a disability-accessible home? Done. Story 108. I would make a substantial investment in multiple sclerosis research. My father has it and will eventually be in a wheelchair, and I want to help. Story 109. Good. Honest people are suffering from generational debts and require financial support for tuition and career purposes. Story 110. Build a large housing unit with a central food elevator that delivers a feast each day featuring everyone's favorite dishes. Story 111. Human Rights Campaign, Trevor Project, and Mermaids UK, in order of increasing importance. LGBTQ rights are rapidly being eroded in the United States and Britain, especially the rights of transgender individuals. Story 112. No, I will not donate. I will use it to build a large shelter for stray, neglected, abandoned, and surrendered pets. Story 113. Help my local community. Charities are nice, but I don't know where the money goes. I would rather spend it myself to help everyone around me. Randomly giving people hundreds of dollars would be fun too. Story 114. Set up a university that conforms to European standards. Minimal parking is available to discourage car usage. Free transit to the city is provided. Accommodation for the majority of students is available on campus. There are no tuition charges. While there are no sports teams, sports facilities for exercise are provided. All programs are offered as full-time courses for 3 years. There are no general education requirements. If you enroll in electrical and electronic engineering, you will only have classes related to that subject. If you enroll in chemistry, you do not need to take history or art. If you enroll in history, you are not required to take algebra. Everyone will take English and critical thinking to ensure they can express themselves and recognize if they are being misled by graduation. The goal is to graduate after 3 years with a good degree and no debt. Medical and dental care is included for both staff and students. 1-year master's programs are offered. All staff members are compensated properly, with no unpaid adjunct professors. Admission is based on merit. Story 115. Purchase a large apartment building, maintain it well, and allow residents to live there rent-free. If possible, I would also cover their utilities and hire a resident manager to oversee the property. Story 116. Build impressive sports and activity facilities in communities that are too small or economically challenged to have them. Promote healthy food and exercise. Story 117. I set up a fund to help children who cannot experience childhood due to various situations. Whether they or someone close to them is ill in the foster care system or living in care facilities, this fund will cover expenses related to activities, experiences, clothing, toys, gadgets, and more for as long as they need it. The goal is to make life a little more bearable. Story 118. I have considered this and would use a crowdfunding platform to donate the remaining funds to help others reach their financial goals. I would specifically target individuals in need of financial assistance for medical emergencies and support. By donating only the amount necessary to help them meet their goals, I can assist as many people as possible within my budget. This approach directly helps individuals, and it would be easy to remain anonymous. Story 119. I would build apartment buildings and charge 1/3 of your income to live there. This way, people who contribute to the vibrancy of cities can afford to reside in urban areas. Story 120. A Housing First program for the homeless aims to get individuals off the street and into their own living spaces. This provides them with stability, allowing for the subsequent focus on services such as addiction support and job training. Story 121. You do not have to be wealthy to do this. Anyone with even small amounts of extra money can participate. If you have $20 extra, make a waitstaff's day. If you have thousands, consider placing it in a donor-advised fund and allowing it to grow as you contribute. Story 122. Any school lunch debt across the country should be eliminated if it is under $5 million. Then, diabetes research. Story 123. Pay for children's activities. As a parent of a gymnast, I understand how expensive these activities can be, but I also recognize the benefits they provide for a child to participate. Financial constraints should not prevent a child from engaging, learning lifelong lessons, or making meaningful connections. Story 124. Donate to veterans organizations like the American Legion, VFW, Mission 22, and the Wounded Warrior Project. Story 125. I would gather all of it. Then I would buy a social media company and slowly influence myself by creating an environment where employees feel pressured to adjust the algorithm to validate my feelings. Once my mind is clouded from the algorithmic dopamine effects, perhaps then I will find a way to address world hunger. Just kidding. Story 126. I would open a group home for young people who left home due to abuse but stayed in school and have a job. I was one of the few who chose to continue my education after leaving home, and I often held 2 jobs at a time. I want to help young people who are in the position I once faced. No one helped me. I suffered alone. Social services advised me to figure it out on my own. I want to provide those young people with a place to call home while they navigate difficult situations. Story 127. I do not consider myself rich. I make charitable contributions throughout the year to a private nonprofit library in my area, a food bank that is not affiliated with any religious institution, an organization for individuals who are blind or visually impaired, diabetes research, as I am diabetic, and shoes for underprivileged students in rural India who walk miles to school each day. I spend approximately $1,000 a year on charitable giving, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. If I were independently wealthy and had funds to distribute, I would mainly direct them toward named education scholarships for disadvantaged but bright students. One scholarship named for my father, who passed away in 2005, would support students who wish to focus on the trades. My father did not attend college, died at just 48 years old, and spent his life primarily working in construction. Another scholarship, named for Joshua Reed Giddings, a prominent abolitionist, would be for students majoring in political science, aiming to represent their communities with a vision of societal equity. A scholarship named for me would focus on students pursuing a technology degree, such as computer science, industrial engineering, machine learning, or similar fields. These scholarships would all aim to support students who could not attend college without financial assistance, giving them the opportunity to achieve and grow with a stronger foundation. Story 128. Education for every kind of learner, helping people identify their strengths and talents, even if they are hidden and not yet valued by society. This has always been my dream because I believe every single person is valuable and can excel in life when they discover their true potential. Story 129. I'm confident there are copies of Luigi Mangione that would be motivated for the right price. Story 130. My dream is to take an old hotel or apartment building and turn it into affordable housing for the unhoused. They would not pay anything until they found a job and built up their income, at which point I would base the rent on their earnings. If someone only receives $300 a week, I would charge $10. Story 131. Homeless assistance is crucial, as many individuals are just one bad month away from being homeless, more than they may admit. Domestic violence halfway houses provide a safe space for individuals and families to escape from abusive situations until they can regain stability. Flying doctors and regional medical support would include accommodation similar to Ronald McDonald House, offering family support for those staying with injured or ill patients. Story 132. I would fund a low to nonprofit organization that actually makes a long-term impact. Story 133. I would start an organization that provides free transportation and emotional support to women in need of safe abortions. Story 134. I'm going to be honest. Please donate more to no-kill shelters that specialize in cats. Help them get spayed and neutered before they are released. Story 135. I am in a rural area with frequent power outages and many elderly individuals. I would connect with the people who manage the food distribution groups and donate items such as wool socks, power banks, rain barrels, and fence repairs. Story 136. Donate to an orphanage so that the children receive a supportive environment that their parents failed to provide. You may also provide financial support and mentoring to some of them. Edit. This may not be entirely selfless, coming from someone who lives in an abusive household. Story 137. Start centers for meditation that focus on relaxation and mindfulness. Modern research indicates that meditation enhances happiness, promotes ease, improves mental and physical well-being, and cultivates better human qualities. Story 138. I would buy land with animals and nature to offer housing and respite for family members who care for adults with special needs. These parents and siblings who take on their care rarely get a break unless they are very wealthy and can afford it. I would love to provide these adults with a summer camp experience and give their families some time off. It would allow me to create an animal sanctuary and offer relief to families struggling to care for adults with special needs, while also making me feel fulfilled. Story 139. Animal sanctuary. Mostly cats. There are many strays here, and unfortunately, many are killed. There is a group of people who support the sanctuary out of their own pockets, but sometimes they don't have enough resources or cannot take on more rescues. Many people here view pets as objects, so when they become annoyed, they simply have them exterminated or sent to a kill shelter, like sending 15 strays to an already full shelter. Then the cat group is barred from taking them all, and we are given 24 hours to pay bail for all 15. Sorry, that memory still makes me very upset. Story 140. Technology research to assist with disease treatment discovery, climate change reversal, pollution reduction, affordable food, and clean energy. Overall perspective. Story 141. I know this may sound selfish, but I would research the causes supported by people I admire, such as celebrities and musicians, and strategically donate to their foundations with the intention of meeting them at their charity events, without considering the actual purpose of the charities. Story 142. I would donate and help children in any way possible, especially refugee children from war-torn countries. Story 143. What do you mean? If you were rich enough? Wealth has virtually nothing to do with giving money. Many low-income individuals donate to charities. They may not donate as much as wealthier individuals, but many give what they can. I am 74 years old and have been making regular contributions to charities since 1968. I have automatic deductions taken from my account every month for 4 charities, and I make case-by-case donations to others. I have observed the state of charitable giving for years. On average, about 70% of Americans have donated money to charities, regardless of economic class. Of course, more could do so, and that would be nice. Story 144. Pay tuition for college and university students who could not attend post-secondary education due to costs. Story 145. I want to establish an LGBTQ youth center in honor of my partner and me. He was incredibly helpful to me growing up. We are a same-sex couple, and after we are gone, I would like to leave a legacy or memory that can assist those in need, similar to the support I received. Story 146. I would fund free mental health care in underserved communities, including therapy, crisis support, and long-term care without waitlists or costs. Healing should never be a luxury. Story 147. Give money to St. Jude's families. Those individuals have enough problems without worrying about finances as well. Story 148. I would love to set up a location in one of the underserved areas of my city where people could learn to use various tools and technology, ranging from car maintenance to sewing machines to three-dimensional printing. I have found that individuals with limited financial resources can be incredibly innovative in problem solving. Often, they just need the tools, guidance, and opportunities. While most would initially focus on solving their own problems, in doing so, they might create solutions that others would greatly appreciate. This space could serve as an incubator for some and provide an opportunity to get various items repaired. Story 149. I would have a kitchen to prepare food for people and distribute it. No one should feel the pain of hunger. Story 150. Buy a chunk of rainforest. Donate. Doctors Without Borders, Shelter PDSA, Red Cross, Cancer Research. Story 151. I wouldn't give to large charities, that's for sure. My 2 are both run by locals with no big CEOs or government involvement. One is a hedgehog and wildlife rescue and rehabilitation organization, and the other focuses on feral and barn cats. Story 152. Educate children from low-income households and provide them with nutritious food and clothing whenever possible. Story 153. I would buy a lot of land and then I would hire people who have difficulties getting a job and desperately need one to plant native plants and trees to restore the area. Story 154. When I was a student, I donated to a health organization to help people in need and improve education. Nowadays, I support an organization that helps disabled individuals find education and good jobs. If I were wealthy, I would invest significantly in the local environment and urban development because I believe in its impact on health, safety, and happiness. If I were extremely wealthy, I would invest in global efforts to protect and improve the environment. Story 155. The real answer would be nothing. It's a difficult decision, but family comes first. If I had to choose, I would support veterans, especially those who have lost body parts and need extra funding for prosthetics. Story 156. Donate to several dental clinics so that many people can receive treatment at no cost. Develop more farmland in multiple states to encourage food production, state by state. Establish farmers markets to facilitate the selling and trading of goods, promoting food stability. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.